Hello, welcome to Astronautics for Exploit. This is Dr. Ayoshola Ogundele. The Mars Research Proposals Unmanned Probe Findings and Discoveries. The focus points of my presentation are as follows. The Mars Moons, Mars Observations, Findings and Discoveries, and Mars Habitability. Mars, the fourth planet from the Sun and the second smallest planet in the solar system, larger only than Mercury, has been a subject of interest for a long period of time. Research evidence shows that during the ancient Noachian time, the surface environment of Mars had liquid water and may have been habitable for microorganisms. Mars, which is approximately half of the diameter of Earth, has a surface area only slightly less than the total area of Earth's dry land. It is less dense than Earth, have about 15% of Earth's volume and 11% of Earth's mass, and about 38% of Earth's surface gravity. The red-orange appearance of the Martian surface is caused by ferric oxide, or rust. Based on the type of minerals, Mars has common surface colors of gold, brown, tan, and greenish. Findings show that Mars, a rocky planet like Earth, and a far thinner atmosphere, has a cold and desert-like surface. For humans to be able to colonize Mars, a way to make Mars hospitable and habitable must be developed. Via telescopes and man-made probes, investigation of the possibility of the existence of life on Mars, which started in the 19th century and of interest to astrobiologists because of Mars' proximity and similarities to Earth, are still ongoing. The probes are searching for water, chemical biosignatures in the soil, rocks at the Mars surface, and gases in the Mars atmosphere. Notable features discovered on the Mars are Olympus Mons, the largest volcano and highest known mountain in the solar system, and Vase Marineris, one of the largest canyons in the solar system. The Mars. Mars, one of the most explored bodies in the solar system, is the fourth planet from the Sun and the second smallest planet in the solar system, which is larger only than Mercury. Mars is a dusty, cold, desert world with a very thin atmosphere. Mars is the fourth planet from the Sun. Mars is a dynamic planet with seasons, polar ice caps, canyons, extinct volcanoes, and evidence that it was even more active in the past. The picture here shows Mars image mosaic from the Figure 1 orbiter. Mars is a terrestrial planet with a thin atmosphere and has a crust primarily composed of elements similar to Earth's crust, as well as a core made of iron and nickel. Some of the most notable surface features on Mars include Olympus Mons, which is the largest volcano and highest known mountain in the solar system. The picture here shows a strong view of Mars' atmosphere. Days and seasons. Days and seasons on Mars are comparable to those of Earth, as the planets have a similar rotation period and tilt of the rotational axis relative to the ecliptic plane. Liquid water on the surface of Mars cannot exist due to low atmospheric pressure, which is less than 1% of the atmospheric pressure on Earth. The picture here shows detail of a Martian dust storm as viewed from orbit. Mars moons. Mars has two relatively small compared to Earth's natural moons. The Phobos, which is about 22 kilometers in diameter, and Deimos, about 12 kilometers in diameter, which orbit close to the planet. It was believed that Phobos and Deimos were asteroids captured into Martian orbit. Both satellites were discovered in 1877. The picture here shows enhanced color image of Phobos, showing a series of mostly parallel groups and crater chains. Phobos rises in the west, sets in the east, and rises again in just 11 hours, Deimos being only just outside synchronous orbit, where the orbital period will match the planet's period of rotation rises as expected in the east but slowly. Because the orbit of Phobos is below synchronous altitude, tidal forces from Mars are gradually lowering its orbit. In about 50 million years, it could either crash into Mars' surface or break up into a ring structure around the planet. The picture here shows the picture of a demo. Mars observations, findings and discoveries. Several unmanned spacecraft, including orbiters, landers, and rovers, have been sent to Mars by the United States, the Soviet Union, Europe, India, the United Arab Emirates, and China to study the planet's surface, climate, and geology. The picture here shows a capsule carrying Perseverance plunged through Mars' atmosphere. NASA's Mariner 4, launched on 28 November 1964, was the first spacecraft to visit Mars. It made its closest approach to the planet on 15 July 1965. Mariner 4 detected the weak Martian radiation belt, measured at about 0.1% that of Earth, and captured the first images of another planet from deep space. The picture here shows Mariner 4 spacecraft. Mariner 9. The data from Mariner 9 and Viking allowed better maps of Mars to be made, and the Mars Global Surveyor mission, which was launched in 1996 and operated until late 2006, produced complete, extremely detailed maps of the Martian topography, magnetic field, and surface minerals. The picture here shows the Mariner 9 spacecraft. Spacecraft launched to the Mars. As of 2023, Mars is host to about 13 functioning spacecraft. 8 are in orbit. 2001 Mars Odyssey, Mars Express, Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, MAVEN, ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter, the Hope Orbiter, and the Tianwen-1 Orbiter. 5 spacecraft are still on the Mars surface: the Mars Science Laboratory Curiosity rover, the Perseverance rover, the Ingenuity helicopter, the Tianwen-1 lander, and the Churon rover. The picture here shows Mars Perseverance rover trajectory as it lands on the red planet. Evidence of life. Several future Mars missions are planned to search for evidence of past life on the Mars. Human missions to Mars are also being planned. The picture here shows NASA's Mars rover. Mars habitability. The current understanding of planetary habitability, that is, the ability of a world to develop environmental conditions favorable to the emergence of life, favors planets that have liquid water on their surface. Planetary habitability requires that the orbit of a planet should lie within the habitable zone, which for the Sun is estimated to extend from within the orbit of the Earth to about that of the Mars. The picture here shows a diagram depicting the habitable zone boundaries around stars and how the boundaries are affected by star type. During the late 19th century, it was widely accepted in the astronomical community that Mars had life-supporting qualities, including the presence of oxygen and water. The past flow of liquid water demonstrated the Mars' potential for habitability. Recent evidence has suggested that any water on the Martian surface may have been too salty and acidic to support regular terrestrial life. The picture here shows a series of artist concepts of past water coverage on Mars. The environmental conditions on Mars are a challenge to sustaining organic life. The planet has little heat transfer across the surface. It has poor insulation against bombardment by the solar wind due to the absence of a magnetosphere, and has insufficient atmospheric pressure to retain water in a liquid form. The picture here shows Mars 2020 Perseverance rover. In situ investigations have been performed on Mars by the Viking landers, Spirit and Opportunity rovers, Phoenix lander, and Curiosity rover. Evidence suggests that the planet was once significantly more habitable than it is today. The Viking probes of the mid-1970s carried experiments designed to detect microorganisms in Martian soil at their respective landing sites and had positive results including a temporary increase of carbon dioxide production on exposure to water and nutrients. The picture here shows artist's impression of the Viking orbital spacecraft. Small quantities of methane and formaldehyde detected by Mars orbiters are both claimed to be possible evidence for life, as these chemical compounds will quickly break down in the Martian atmosphere. The glass in impact craters on Mars could have preserved signs of life if life existed at the site. The picture here shows NASA's Mars helicopter, which opens the door for flight on other worlds. For more information, contact Astronautics for Exploit. You've been watching and listening to The Mars Research Proposes Unmanned Probe Findings and Discoveries, presented by Dr. Ayoshola Ogundele, with the focus points the Mars, Mars moons, Mars observations, findings and discoveries, and Mars habitability. Thank you.